Welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. We have a great show planned after we helped you guys do your bracket last week. This week we will start off by getting you guys caught up on how the baseball team did and how they will do for the rest of the season. Then we will transition to the hot topics and local and national news. We will also get you guys caught up on the madness known as the NCAA Tournament. So are you ready to head on down to the Pioneer Sideline? Welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Kyle Anthony. We'll get you guys started right away into the action, talking about the Point Park baseball team. So to find out if they could pick up some wins, we will pass it over to our reporter, Josh Krupp, who has everything we need to know.
Thanks, Kyle. We have highlights for you on the sideline tonight. The Point Park Pioneers had a home game last week. It wasn't at their traditional home field of Green Tree Park. They traveled to Consol Energy Park, home of the Washington Wild Things. Let's take a look at the highlights right now. Point Park 8-10 as they enter this game against Penn State Greater Allegheny. Non-conference matchup. Bottom first, 2 on, nobody out. Chris Hernandez. He was hitting just .237 entering this game, Kyle. Hits a line drive through the hole. Demetrius Moore scores. Pioneers go up 1-0 early on. Next batter, Andy Chacon. He gets an RBI ground out right side. Shane Conley scores. Pioneers go up 2-0. All part of a 3-run first inning for the Pioneers. Head to the bottom of the second. It's 4-0. Moore is on third, and Hernandez gets a hold of one all the way out to left field, takes a couple hops. Hernandez is at second. Pioneers go up 5-0. Watch the flash. There it is. Hernandez on second with a double. Bottom four, they're loaded for Daniel Sanchez. He singles up the middle. Moore scores again, all a part of a 3-run fourth inning for the Pioneers. Bottom five, it's 9-0. Conley on for Hernandez. Swings at the first pitch, and it trickles all the way to the wall. It allows another run to score. The sophomore picks up another RBI. That gives Point Park a 10-0 lead. This was just one 9-inning game. Supposed to be a doubleheader. They ended up changing it to a 9-inning game because it was supposed to be in the afternoon. Changed to the evening, but Pioneers win 11-1. Yuri Sukart also homered in the bottom of the 8th. So a big win for the Pioneers. Ben Jarbo gets the start. He only went 4 innings, not enough for the win. Gets 3 strikeouts and just gave up 2 hits, no runs. Emil Abreu, you see, he picks up the win, his first of the season. Gave up 1 run, struck out 5, and gave up just 2 hits in the performance. A big win for the Pioneers, a non-conference game, but they're still able to pick up the victory. Pioneers play next at Cincinnati Christian. This is a big weekend for them. March 24th, they'll start a 4-game series with Cincinnati Christian. Pioneers now 9-10 and 4-4 in KIAC play.
Now, Josh, where did all this offense come from? 11 runs?
11 runs. It was great to see. The bats are starting to get back. I think we're starting to get healthy again. We weren't really sure what we were going to do with a couple of injuries, but those guys are starting to step up. Hernandez goes 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. A great performance for him. Demetrius Moore is starting to get on base. It was a good signs of life for this Pioneer offense that has not really shown up recently.
Now, Josh, you said this is a big weekend. How clean do the Pioneers need to be on defense, since they have become a team known for not being very good Gold Glovers?
No, they haven't been, and your Gold Glover in center field's already made a trio of errors this year in Demetrius Moore. They need to clean it up in the field. That is the basic. You can't make stupid errors at third base with a lead in the 7th inning. You have to go out to Cincinnati Christian this weekend, play a clean game, have strong performances from your pitchers on the mound, and produce with the bats. That's what they did against Greater Allegheny. Just 1 error in that game, but 1 error could be the difference. So if they can play clean in the field, if the pitchers can show up and the bats produce like they did last Wednesday, Pioneers have a good chance at picking up a couple wins on the road at Cincy Christian this weekend.
Thanks, Josh. When we get back, Trevor Sheets will tell us what local team is now looking for a new head coach, and later we will recap what was a crazy first weekend of the NCAA March Madness.
We are a social people. We share our inspiration, wisdom, creations, and memories. We share what makes us laugh and what angers us. Built on the notion of a free flow of ideas, our country thrives on the freedom of speech. Without it, who would watch over our governing powers? And how would we share our history to make a difference for the future? It's this freedom to share that gives us a reason to listen.
Start your morning with City News.
Start your morning with campus news.
Start your morning with political coverage.
Start your morning with fun.
Start your morning with us, only on Daybreak.
Did you know that Point Park has a cheerleading squad?
Don't stop. Don't get it confused.
Not only do our cheerleaders represent Point Park at regional and national competitions, but they also promote spirit and awareness of every sports team on campus. Come to any men's or women's varsity basketball game at home to watch the cheerleaders perform at halftime and cheer from the sidelines from the first jump ball to the final buzzer. Sports not your thing? You can catch the cheer team lead the crowd at the fall and spring pep rallies as well, or at several competitions around Pittsburgh each year. So what are you waiting for? Show the Point Park cheerleaders the support they show you.
We know you're wondering what the A-list celebrities are up to. Well, here at Entertainment on Point, we're wondering too.
Have you heard about James Franco and Seth Rogen's new movie?
No, but have you heard Beyonce's new single? Did you see what she was wearing on that red carpet?
Honey, that was not cute.
Did you see what happened on Scandal this week?
No, I was too busy keeping up with the Kardashians. No matter what your guilty pleasure is, we've got you covered.
Entertainment on Point. Get to the point of pop culture.
Yeah!
Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm Trevor Sheets with your regional sports report. After a disappointing loss for the Pitt Panthers in their second round game in the NCAA Tournament, losing to Wisconsin 47-43, the Panthers suffered an even bigger loss yesterday. Longtime coach Jamie Dixon will be leaving Pitt to become the head coach of Texas Christian University. Dixon is an alumni of TCU, playing for the Horned Frogs from 1984 to 1987. The only person who have been offered the position is Arizona head coach and Pitt alum Sean Miller, but he has reportedly declined the offer. In Dixon's 13 seasons as head coach, Dixon led the Panthers to 11 NCAA tournament appearances, with 3 appearances in the Sweet 16, 1 Elite 8 appearance, and 2 Big East championships in 2004 and 2011. Now to the ice, where the Pittsburgh Penguins are one of the hottest teams in the NHL, riding a 6-game winning streak. Over the weekend, the Pens faced off against 2 of their biggest rivals, the Philadelphia Flyers and Washington Capitals, on back-to-back nights. Neither team proved too difficult for the high-flying Penguins, scoring a total of 10 goals in the 2-game span. In Sunday's game against the Capitals, the Pens even chased Washington goalie Braden Holtby after giving up 4 goals. Holtby is recognized by many as the leading candidate for the Vezina Trophy this season as the league's top goaltender. Pittsburgh has a couple more days off before they host another rival, the New Jersey Devils this Thursday night. Currently, the Pens sit in third place in the Metropolitan Division, but only trail the second-place New York Rangers by 2 points. And we're only 12 days away from opening day for the 2016 baseball season, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are making moves to make sure they are ready for that April 3rd matchup against rivals St. Louis Cardinals. The Pirates started off by naming lefty Francisco Liriano as the opening day starter for the 3rd year in a row. Liriano will be the 5th pitcher in Pirates history to start on 3 consecutive opening days. The most recent was Doug Drabeck, who did it from 1990 to 1992. The Pirates also signed third baseman David Freese to a 1-year contract to give the Pirates some more options in the infield, while Jung-Ho Kang is still recovering from knee injury suffered last season. Many decisions still have to be made before the Buccos come north for the summer, including their back end of the rotation, which seems to be a 3-horse race between Juan Nicasio, Jeff Locke, and Ryan Vogelsong. That's all I have for regional sports. Now back to Kyle for a look at national sports headlines.
Thanks, Trevor. We'll start off with some sad news coming from the NFL with the passing of Baltimore Ravens corner Trey Walker. Walker died Friday, a day after being involved in a dirt bike accident in Liberty City, Florida. The Ravens have dealt with a lot of tragedy the past few years. The family has lost the brothers of Ed Reed, Torrey Smith. This will be the first time, though, that the Ravens will be mourning the loss of one of their own. Now we will go to the hardwood, where the New Orleans Pelicans have announced that Anthony Davis will miss the rest of the season due to a torn labrum in his left shoulder an injury in his left knee. Davis had played 61 games to this point in the season. This might also hurt Davis's chance of earning a $24 million extension that he would get if he was on one of the NBA All-Pro teams. Lastly, we'll go to Russia, where the KHL is changing their draft rules. They are doing this to try to keep some of their top talent in the house, instead of them going to North America to play. In the past 4 years, only one has stayed home to play a Russian club, and now the Russians are allowed to have a protected player from their most promising players from school. Coming up, I'll be rejoined by Trevor Sheets along with Sarah Macklin to discuss March Madness so far. Later, we'll find out what our analysts think of the Adam LaRoche situation going on in Chicago.
Here at the Pioneers Sideline, we get freshmen involved as quickly as possible so they get the real-world experience on air and behind the scenes to set themselves apart in internships and potential jobs. Blaine, where is that video? I needed it in KeyPro like yesterday.
All right, I got you, Chris. But I had a quick question for you guys.
What do you mean the questions? It's always a question. It's always a... What? Where is he? Blaine! 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 Freshman, you can't find any good ones anymore.
Ever wanted to be behind the mic and have the world listening to your show on campus? Well, it's just as simple as joining WPPJ, Point Park's student-run radio station, located on the second floor of Lawrence Hall, right next to the dining services. Listeners can tune in using Point Park's website or through the TuneIn app by searching WPPJ. WPPJ welcomes any new DJs that want to get involved, so be heard. Do you have what it takes?
Well, no one showed up to the show tonight. Follow my lead. In 3, 2, take 2, open mics, cue talent. Good evening and welcome to UView News. I'm Josh Krupp. We begin with breaking news out of West Penn Hall. Ready, 3, take lower third. Traffic is backed up in the West Penn elevator line after elevator 1 broke down on the 7th floor. Lose lower third. Maintenance advises students to take the stairs to avoid delays. Ready, 2, take 2. In other news, no, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. We need crew. Join UView. Take alien hand transition.
Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm rejoined by Trevor Sheets, and Sarah Macklin now joins us. Let's talk about the season I love to hate, known as the NCAA Tournament. Let's talk about the part that caused me sadness: upsets.
I mean, it's the most sad. It's the most sadness I felt. Also, the most upsets that anybody's seen. It was a 10 double-digit seeds ended up winning in the first round.
I've never used so many tissues in my life.
It was ridiculous. I mean, there were some that were a lot of people thought were going to come, but I mean, Middle Tennessee State.
I don't want to talk about
Little
that.
Rock.
Little Rock. Yeah.
See, Little Rock's understandable. It's that 5-12 game.
It is, but like it was definitely one that like if I was picking upsets in my bracket, I would not have picked that one. But I will say, as much as it screwed with everyone's brackets, I loved it. I mean, it was the most diversity, most upsets in a March Madness tournament I've seen in years.
You know what makes me feel the worst? And it's probably because I was right about it. That Stephen F. Austin would give West Virginia his best game. You know, there are times I really hope I'm going to be wrong. Why couldn't I be wrong?
Thomas Walkup, the lumberjack. I mean, it was incredible.
You know, he's just a savage.
Oh, it was such a good game.
I don't know. I mean, there was so many great games in both the first and second round, or second and third rounds, I guess technically. But like the UNI and Texas A&M game was just absolutely ridiculous. I didn't get to watch it because I couldn't get True TV in. But like just watching the highlights of that last 2 minutes was just insane.
Yeah, I had Texas A&M in one of my family pools, and I shut the game off. I didn't even bother to check my phone once they were down by so many points. And then I look back and they've scored 14 points in 31 seconds. I don't even know how that happened.
But I think we can all say one thing. Defense is really dead. In college basketball, defense doesn't exist.
Except for in that Wisconsin Pitt game.
Well, no, that wasn't bad offense because we showed Wisconsin could put points. You know what that was? That was just bad basketball. That's like a bunch of middle schoolers you roll out for gym class saying, "Go play some ball, kids."
I mean, Wisconsin had a good defense, or has a good defense, though. So, I mean, a lot of it was
the
bad
lowest
shooting.
scoring game in NCAA tournament history.
It was bad. It wasn't a pretty game, don't get me wrong, but a lot of strong defensive teams don't play a lot of pretty games.
I give Jamie Dixon no credit. Don't give him any credit. He's worthless. But let's go to now happy things. We're at the Sweet 16 now. Now, let's talk about a game that no one really expected to happen. Gonzaga, Syracuse. I know we had an analyst here, and it was Phil Papour, who was extremely high in the orange. We all kind of pushed them away, but now they're showing their true colors, where they were at the peak of their season. Are they the real deal, or is Gonzaga going to come out and show what they kind of did against Seton Hall and what they did against Utah?
I think Gonzaga's going to win this game. As much as I completely thought Syracuse shouldn't be in the tournament, I ate my own words. I was wrong. They came out and they played hard. I think they came out with a shoulder, on their back, chip on their shoulder, yeah, because of everyone doubting them, saying they shouldn't be in it, and they've played really, really well. But I just think Gonzaga and Sabonis, they've came and won these games with such big of margins, and I just think they're going to come out and win. It's going to be close, though, definitely.
Yeah, I like Gonzaga in that game as well. I was never big on Utah. I thought they were a decent team coming out of the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 is a weak conference. We saw only one team in the Elite Eight, or the Sweet 16 with the top seed Oregon.
Yeah.
So I wasn't big on Utah. Gonzaga proved how good of a team they are, and we said this last week. This might be one of the worst Gonzaga teams to go into the tournament, but they have the easiest route ahead of them. This could easily be an Elite Eight team.
Well, since you brought up Oregon, who's going to be the first one seed to lose? We've seen the previous 5 years that one seed's been gone at this point. Who's going to be the first one to actually get knocked out?
I don't know.
I mean, it's Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia is still my least favorite of these number one seeds. Like I've said before, they are now what Pitt was when they were at their top in the Big East. Great defensive team, 1 or 2 good scorers, but that does not sustain you in the NCAA tournament. Someone's going to shut down Brogdon, and Virginia's not going to be able to keep up. And I think it could be in this round. It might be in the Elite Eight, but I don't see Virginia lasting.
I agree. I think that out of the 4 number ones that are left, I think UNC and Kansas have the best route to the Elite Eight, Final Four. I think they're better all-around teams, and I just think the play of Virginia and Oregon is kind of inconsistent, and I think those 2 games between Oregon and Duke and Virginia and Iowa State, I think it's going to be close matchups.
Trevor, you've been really good at leading me into things, so since you brought up the ACC, we'll go to Miami, a team that I was real high on, I know you were high on, and Phil was high on. Miami hasn't played well. They've had spurts where they've been really good. Then they've had other spurts where they just couldn't. But one thing that did impress me was how they closed out that Wichita game. The last 10 minutes were extremely impressive, just like the first 10 minutes of the game. What is Miami actually worth saying they're actually going to make a run, or is this team going to falter?
I don't know. It scares me a little bit because I don't know who to go for in that game between Miami and Villanova, because everyone was talking Miami up and talking Villanova down, but Villanova played really well throughout the tournament, showed they're supposed to be a 2 seed. And Miami, like you said, they had some strong moments in that Wichita State, but it was that inconsistency in that game that scared me. They came out and were dominating, and then they let Wichita State fall right back in the game, and then again they came out on top. But I don't know, that they worry me a little bit.
I mean, yeah, the Miami team is definitely Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of team, but those 2 games, they played well, but who did they play?
Yeah.
They played an Iowa team that none of us were very big on. And I already forgot the team they played in the first round. So, like, I can't. Villanova is a team I've never been big of. Sorry, Blaine. Sorry, Zach. But it's just, I don't like Villanova. I never have. I don't think they're going to be that good of a team. I think Miami, like I said, it could go either way. But if Miami can hit their stride, they can beat Nova.
My opinion on it is I think the guards are all going to cancel each other out. I think you're going to see Rodriguez cancel out Diacono. I think McClellan's going to cancel out Hart. I think it's going to be all about Ja'Kiri in the battle of the big men. I think it's going to depend on who does the best there, because we know what Miami has. We know what Villanova has. We know their guards are each going to provide, or each going to do good. But it's what the big men are going to do, because we saw Ja'Kiri be a non-factor. Thank you, guys. When we get back, Blaine King and Paul Daniels join me for a round of reporters.
If you're having trouble with your schoolwork this semester, there's a helpful place on campus that you should know about. On the 7th floor of Lawrence Hall is the Program for Academic Success, which provides services like tutoring and academic counseling. The program's Writing Center is specifically designed to help you with your writing assignments, and you can even get help for them online. Students are encouraged to stop in the office, give a call, or send an email.
Every human being has a purpose, has a dream to have their voices heard, no matter where they come from, no matter where they go. As an American, it is their right to have freedom of speech. I have a dream that one day this message will speak louder than words, that even the quietest voice will not go unnoticed. That is my dream. What is yours? For more information, visit www.freedomofspeechpsa.org.
Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm joined by Paul Daniels and Blaine King. I always think you guys are on air. All right, guys, we're going to start this episode off for reporters by talking about the Adam LaRoche story. Him retiring because the White Sox are saying you can't have a son in the dugout as much. Whose side are you on if you have to pick a side at all?
If I had to pick a side, I'd go with the Chicago White Sox. I know it was in the contract, and I just think this is a weird scenario. Like, have we ever heard of a story like this before? A guy in his mid to late 30s playing in the MLB and decides to retire and hang up the cap because you know he decided that his son wasn't going to be in the clubhouse all the time, and that's just an interesting take on it. But Blaine?
At first, I was on the same side as Adam LaRoche, but now I honestly have to say that I'm with the White Sox. I mean, you can't bring your child to work all the time. And granted, I know you want to be close with your family, but I think there's times when you're allowed that you need to just say, "I'll see you when I get home." I mean, it's okay if you can bring them in at certain times, though.
And I also think this is a case of, like, since he didn't produce at all last year, this guy hit .207, had 12 home runs, and I think it's kind of like a big star league where if you're producing, this probably doesn't even happen. So it is what it is, but that's our take on it.
I mean, it's hard to bash on a guy for wanting to spend time with his family, and I get when he first came in, that was a big thing for him. So I get that on his part is when he first came to the White Sox, he talked about how important it was that his son be involved. But I also get the point that other players do. The part I have a problem with is players going, instead of talking to Adam LaRoche, talking to Kenny Williams and kind of being like, yeah, you might be my teammate, but I'll talk to the big guy to get things changed. I do get it's a workplace, and I am on the White Sox side, that your kid shouldn't be there as much, even if he's a distraction or not. It's a workplace, and no other workplace will you be allowed to have your kid there as much. In what's it, 82 home games, your kid's there, it's all the spring training. Why can't we cut that down to 20-some games maybe? I mean, we're not saying that you can't have your kid there before the game for you to play catcher and throw. The Pirates do that. I remember being on the field, seeing people like Corey Hart, A.J. Burnett do that.
Right.
Why do you have to be so much more special than everyone else? Why do you have privileges?
Right.
If you get to do that, does Jose Abreu get to bring in his kid?
Yeah.
Does everyone? I mean, that's my thing.
Right.
Now we're going to transition to the ice. How good are the Washington Capitals?
I think this is an excellent team offensively and defensively. They are leading for the President's Cup in points at the end of the year. But I think this is a good team with Ovechkin.
Ovechkin, great player, MVP most likely. Team leading the Eastern Conference in points, but it's the Eastern Conference. They're okay. I mean, I'm not going to give them like, hey, they're going to win the Stanley Cup, because I think somebody out the Western Conference probably is this year again, honestly. But they're going to probably be in contention they're probably going to go straight away to the Eastern Conference Finals, get to the Stanley Cup, but I do see them actually not winning the Stanley Cup.
I think you're giving them too much credit. I think they're good. I don't think they're great, and I could see them losing in the second round of the playoffs. Enough said on the topic. How good will Ben Simmons be as a pro? We saw that he's coming out early. I have my opinion on it. Blaine, I want you to say what your opinion would be.
all the reports at the start of the season, middle of the season, it was like Ben Simmons is going to be a great NBA player. Now, like with the reports coming out, he's no longer the first-round draft pick. I mean, the first overall draft pick. He's going to fall top 5, top 3 for sure. But I think he's going to be a good basketball player. He's always a need for a big man in the NBA. Issue is his work ethic, and he is going to go to a team that is not a winning situation. So that's where his issues are going to come. If he was on a veteran team like the Spurs, Cavaliers, I'll even say Warriors, then yeah, he might be up there. But right now, since he's going to go to like a team like the Lakers maybe or the Sixers, he may have some struggles.
You know, he's probably a little bit overhyped throughout the entire season. This is a guy who really can't create his own shot. Now, I know you can work on that. In the NBA, you can develop a good jump shot if it's not there yet in the college game. But there are a couple others I have ahead of him. I'd say put Buddy Hield especially and Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram, I'll give you. I'll give you a Chris Dunn.
Okay.
My issue with Ben Simmons is I don't think he can rebound. He's been in the SEC. Who else can you name in the SEC that can rebound? We saw him get bullied at A&M.
Right.
A&M knocked him around with bigger dudes.
Yeah.
We've seen it that he can't really, what you said, create your own shot. If he has questions of work ethic, he ain't going to be in the gym shooting jump shots. No. He ain't going to be trying to get better. We know the dude can cut to the lane. We've seen him, okay, you can pass the ball. Those are all great. We know your defense is there. But you know what happens when you go to the NBA with a lack of offense? You're not productive the first few years.
It's all about scoring.
I could honestly see him being a dude after his first 3 years, averaging about 12 points, 7 rebounds, a couple assists. I think he's going to be productive. I don't think he's going to be no star. I mean, dude needs to go to Rutgers Park and get bullied around by some big boys. All right, now we're going to go to the Pirates. Garrett Cole's not getting an opening day start. Francisco Liriano's getting it. Opinion on this?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I heard this. I think Garrett Cole is probably their best pitcher heading into the season. He's been one of their aces throughout the past 3 or 4 years there, and I was quite surprised that Liriano was ahead of him.
I am too, because Garrett Cole has been the ace for the Pirates for the past few years. He's been their #1 guy, and he's proven it. Liriano, he's always seemed like that too, but now you're going to see if Liriano could step up and be a 1, because then you kind of will have 2 aces at the top of your rotation in Liriano and Cole, but it's an iffy move right now.
I don't actually think it's because Garrett Cole's not the #1. I think it's because Garrett Cole couldn't shut his mouth. When asked about his contract, didn't say anything flattering, didn't say he wanted to be a Pirate, didn't say he wanted to do much of anything, just said, oh, let Scott Boras handle it. When somebody wants a positive answer, I want you to answer like an adult. You have an education from UCLA. You obviously know how to speak. You know how to talk. Yep. You know how to be educational. You know how not to be dumb. Instead, you give some smart-ass answer that you get from, I don't know, Jose Batista at the moment, saying, I want $150 million. Be respectful. Know your place. That'll do it for this week on The Sideline. Join us next week at the same Pioneer time, same Pioneer channel, and, of course, the same loud Pioneer sideline.